Not an easy thing to do business. The crisis has created an enormous opportunity for young entrepreneurs. We all three know lots of them that they believe that unless the crisis was there, they wouldn't have developed. They've had the appetite to go abroad, which was rare before 17. Even banks wouldn't encourage this. They wouldn't like someone getting lending Greek and investing abroad. And yet there has been a coordinated effort later on under the initiative of the Greek government for more extroversion so that they could address other markets as well. So we've got many new and young entrepreneurs with significant companies in terms of technology, size, competencies, talent, attractive. With affiliates abroad, we wish to develop and grow. In other words, there are many people that don't want to become public servants, and instead they want to become entrepreneurs. In my field, there are some positive role models. Scrooge, I remind you, Workable, and other platforms, a group of young people, a category of young people who save the fact that in a very short time period they attractive foreign investors and they build companies, and their quality, to put it this way, representing this field, well, they are very positive, the way they behave to their employees, the way they live. Have you got similar figures, personas in your sector? You can even name them. Have you got successful stories that could motivate young people? Well, we need to put it in the correct perspective. In the ad stage, the market developed in a very fast way. A good developer did something and it became a success. In the growth capital, that is small and medium-sized companies, there hasn't been any success history because there wasn't any equities, any private equity, which is the locomotive, and it is a must for the transition of an economy. When starting in 97, private equity was in the hands of listed companies, so the success story was for them that got money from the stock exchange or cheap loans, did investments, invested, not targeted in a targeted way, and some of them succeeded, some others not. What we've witnessed in the Greek market is that you need to train the market first. What is the meaning of a private equity? And the exit, a success, a good yield, it is not enough. In other words, it is not the case of 5 entrepreneurs making a lot of money. Lots of money. The important point, and there we need to focus, is how private equity may change a bit the business model in Greece. What is the issue here in Greece nowadays? And this is what we must consider. Today the problem is that we haven't got a model, the new business model. The financial cycle is over and the new one isn't on yet. Speaking about inflation and so on and so forth, the main problem, my understanding, is that the inflation highlights something that we've been concealing. The fact that we worry about the salary stagnation in the Greek market. So the financial model, the paradigms that shall shape the picture, is relevant to those that are prepared to take risk, to invest, and those that shall intervene, not just become those that shall become eventually entrepreneurs, those that will identifies the the people that might have the mentality to change the environment in your field, in your sector, that you have put forward miracles in the end stage. The real economy hasn't changed. Instead, there are no entrepreneurs all those years. Nothing has changed, actually. If the previous financial cycle was based on consumption, cheap loans, public works, now we haven't got neither money to spend nor nothing. So we need something else. Apostolos, you are the older in this panel. I wonder, because I do not know when I ask you, the kids of the family businesses that took over in the past 10 years, do you believe that they've changed the way they operate and they would run the companies? Are we heading towards a different model, or they used to repeat what they've seen their parents doing? Look, the young generation of those that have inherited those companies hasn't got a precise model. Either they do excellent or they do not get involved at all. So we can't say young generation versus the older one. To put the framework, hold on. I was impressed when discussing with Odysseas Kyriakopoulos. He told me once, my mother was a wise woman. He knew what I could deliver and what I could not. And she decided, one of the first businesswomen in Greece, to appoint an independent CEO. End of 70s, beginning of 80s, that was unspeakable. Instead of choosing her son, she chose Vidalis. I wonder if this is the case currently. I remind you that Odysseus, who used to be a friend one, did the miracle back in 2011. Sold the company to Clop and Barrel at a very good price. So I don't know if mother was the better or her son. And again, this is relevant to the person itself.
Mother entrepreneurship needs to have a full picture of what children can do or cannot do. My generation, or close to my generation, parents like me, even though they might not be trained, they are much better in allowing their children to operate today than our parents allowed us to operate. One of the reasons that we have growth capital funds in companies that are exceptional is because the businessman, the main businessman, core businessman, understood that there is discontinuity in the company. That's why they want someone to form them strategically or not, so as to have a sellable commodity and leave the children, not the company, but cash. We have seen that many times. Allow me to say something about the young generation. I see that the young generation has two characteristics we didn't have as a generation. Better educated children in general and more open. They are more open than us. This new young generation is not interested, you have seen that, to deal with the public sector, but want to become entrepreneurs. They come together and do something, or they do business with other counterparties abroad. This is very obvious in the last 5 to 7 years. This is the opportunity of our country. That leads me to the next question. I had made a speech as president of Junior Achievement when I became president 8 years ago, and now that my term has finished in the same school. So there was a difference of 8 years in the same class. When I added school, when I finished school, and one could ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? In my class, no one would say entrepreneur. 8 years ago, it would be 2 out of 10, which was okay. Last year, in the same class, we had 7 out of 10 hands raised who wanted to become entrepreneurs. On the one hand, that gives me joy. On the other hand, if the existing companies don't make space for these young children, well, we will have startups. If family businesses don't give options or make space or give posts to young generation, it will be difficult to have this transition in Greece as it was the case in the United States. Do you think that the companies you invest in are ready to think this way, private equity, modernization, etc., or to expand the pie and not cut it up in more pieces? What we see is that SMEs use talent more than ever to go abroad, to use modern technologies, to find new products. As you have said, people don't want to become employees. They want to have the vision of personal growth and development. They don't want to be salaried. In this framework, this is one-way street. Where we invest, we try to understand the deficits of companies in executives, and we all see that there are always people missing. So we need people that need to help the enterprise go to the next level. And if you want to attract talent, you need to give them more incentives to be part of the success of the company. This is something we try to achieve. A lot of businessmen understand that, and to link it with the previous discussion we had, I think no child can take over a business. We cannot expect from a 30-year-old to be responsible for a big company with not too much experience. So something needs to be done about that. But we can have that child can be an exceptional shareholder and work in this company, but and get experience. The model that I go away and leave the company to my child without having this experience, the experience needed is obsolete. And we have, of course, children that don't want to work in the family company. We need also to take that into consideration and not oblige offsprings to do that. Let me ask you. They say the size of private equity in Greece is where it should be, higher or lower than it should be. A previous speaker has already mentioned it. It's quite low compared to where we used to be. It's better. We have track records, we do work, we have executives. We have seen a lot of improvement all these past years. What we want and we log is to take the share of the market we deserve. Well, the market until now used to work without the participation of private equity. In Greece of crisis, we didn't have any consolidation solutions with the help of private equity. We haven't assumed our role as a sector. This is background, but now we are at an important stage. We need to play the role we deserve to play and not to lose all these billions existing in Greece and be able to create more values for everyone or better values. The bankers cannot evaluate business plan and business visions. Neither the state can do that. One can judge them are those who will risk with their money. So this is the role of private equity. If we succeed in that, the outcome will be positive for everyone. If we lack something besides the size, is the institutional role of private equity in Greek economy. It never had a role because it didn't exist as a sector. Compared to your early stages investments, we are lagging behind. Well, our sector has a different approach. Nowadays, tech is more promoted than the transformation of a traditional company. You said earlier, with what I see this very moment in private equity, you said, I wish I were 20 years younger. Why are you so enthusiastic about that? That means that you see a huge opportunity? I have repeatedly said so. In Greece, it's difficult to do business. You try to imitate what happened abroad 30 years ago, and you do it a la Grecque. Where we used to be and where we stand now, in July 2018, the fund was 550,000 investment funds, thousands, but now it's 1 billion. I believe to give a sense of what will happen in the next 2 or 3 years, that will be minimum 6 billion. The big problem of the country was, is, and will be equity. There is no equity. Equity is scarce. So I believe that private equity will be needed no matter what. Beyond the rest, it is something, and I say so without taking into consideration, investment grade. With investment grade, it might go higher. I think that this ecosystem will become more popular. It demands, nevertheless, new teams, cooperations of teams. We have done a lot of works with Adonis here. We have invested with independent third parties. The new fund from the 12 million, I will get it to 25 to be able to make more tickets. That demands, I need to say, that there is space. The foreigners are looking for 100 or 150 plus. What is below 100 million is ours. There are private equity companies abroad and work here with Greeks. It's not the same because Greeks here as not the final decision makers. We are the decision makers of our own funds. The Greeks working in foreign companies should get an approval. So we are good corporate citizens. Our counterparts know as well. And we can do M&As that will play an important role in SMEs. That is why I'm inviting the government for incentives. The incentives given were ridiculous. We need to give incentives to SMEs for M&As and not to be stingy, because what instantly is lost, they will get it back in a couple of years. I believe in that ecosystem, and I see a lot of young children, young people that see it differently. We have seen a lot of young generation representatives, Greeks that are involved in private equity abroad and want to come back to Greece to work. They are Greeks, as I said. And I think that we have a tank of exceptional youngsters. We have hired a girl from Amsterdam and one from London. We have 4 more minutes. Apostolos said more or less what is his suggestion and what his vision is, and he talked about cooperation. Well, in Greece, nevertheless, we are focusing on individuals. We don't want to cooperate with others. Tell me, both of you, some ideas, things that come to mind that in the next 5 years should happen, whatever, no matter what. The most important ones. You can start. I've started back in the 1990s with global finance. Global finance had invested in various agencies. Mr. Vakakis, Theodoropoulos, and others. What was that fueled that success and created that wealth? There was an IPO market. If the stock exchange doesn't build that and allow companies to be listed, I don't know how we will have a continuity. In our market, exit is a big issue. For us to exit, we should sell all companies to another investor, and or we should be part of a greater team. Exit also exists from IPO market. And Apostolos here has also helped create an IOP market. he brought excellent content. We have exceptional companies in our portfolio, but we don't have any company that wants to be listed with the Greek Stock Exchange. Janos should change that. What is your vision or hope that can become a reality in the next years? Our job is not the job of people that invest in bonds and shares. We have a fund. Irrespective of how good we have done, we need to see what we have invested, what we have, what we got back in Greece, where we target. They are business oriented. The economy is business oriented. We are not USA. We are not Europe. We are a new economy, and an average company has a background of 30 years. The businessman, if you give them assistance and a vision, they will accept. What we lack is for that businessman to understand that private equity is an excellent medium. If you do that and succeed, that multiplies. And this ecosystem has multiple benefits for the whole economy. This ecosystem actually helps real economy. We are champions in panels, but economy doesn't grow. Entrepreneurship drives successes. In Excel, we have all made money, but what remains in our pocket is important. The timing is excellent because Greece is before a new phase, and that needs real competitiveness. We should invest, and then if one is bold to invest, the others will follow. That is important.
Well, it is clear that this is the pace, as the Americans put it. Thank you.
Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ για ένα τελείως διαφορετικό πάνελ και μια άλλη οπτική. Στο σημείο αυτό θα ήθελα...
Well, at this point, before closing, I would like to invite the Deputy President of the Capital Market, Mrs. Natasha Stamou, for a short presentation, a short lecture. This is how we'll close. We've attended interesting lectures, so having the Deputy Manager of the Capital Market, it shall be the best way to close. Indeed, the supervisor after the equity is closing the event. This is interesting. An event which attracted a great interest and demonstrates the importance of this conference. I've attended most of the panels and they were extremely interesting. I had decided to discuss during this event to discuss private investors. However, attending the discussions early in the morning, I would put it under the title Private Investors Beyond Fundamentals. And this is what I'll discuss in the minutes to come, in less than 15 minutes. So, private investors. Let me put it differently. Investors, the buy side, institutionals and privates that play a very important role in the ecosystem for different reasons. The institutionals, we know their role. They increase the efficiency of the distribution of resources, support good governance, contributing thus in the exercise of rights, and of course in the accountability. On the other hand, all others, they play a very important role because they mobilize savings. They are those who reflect the real trust of the market. And this is why we need to enhance their involvement. And this is the core of the policies of the EU policies. It is the way to increase the competitiveness of the EU market through the capital market units. They express a significant strategy, the retail investment strategy, which is very specific. One may be against in terms of direction, whether it complies with the final desired outcome. However, the fact that there is a retail policy is good by and large. On the other hand, we need to block the fragmentation of the market, which is not good in the US, in Asia. This is not the case, and this is the principle of funding. Competitiveness is related to the increase of demand and generates a larger pool of funding, increasing the cash flow in the market. In line with FMA's recent study, 1.6 trillion could be made available for funding the EU economy if EU households decreased by 5 point savings. The wealth of the EU household could be larger if they had decreased the share of deposit instead of 30 to 40, investing more in mutual fund and bonds as of 19. This study demonstrates the impact of the increased retail role in the markets and in the funding of the EU companies, whereas households could enjoy from the increase of the yields of their savings by ensuring a better income in the future. Thus, the high rate of savings goes hand in hand with GDP, but is there any appetite for investments in the retail field? And if it is, can it go hand in hand with growth? And is there scope for investments? According to OECD studies, households are not prepared to do so by utilizing this way their savings, and we do not know their volume in the after-COVID period. However, this follows a circular way, enlarging the disposable income of households. However, this hasn't been verified in Greece. It didn't help the savings, however, it had an adverse impact due to inflation, which appears to guide income towards consumption. Thus, in Greece, we do not save, very low compared to the GDP, and when we save, we keep it in deposits, in form of deposit, even though nominal yields are very low, and they are impacted from the inflation. Abstention or little involvement in terms of investment is due to various reasons. Those who do not invest at all, either they are afraid that they lose their money, or they do not know that their investment products, that they produce better yields, or those that invest already do not explore the capital markets sufficiently to increase their income. They still keep savings, and very frequently they have only specific contracts. They have a negative experience. The trauma hasn't been healed. Household and citizens, in other words, need to be convinced in terms of the advantages of investing in the capital market. Thus, we have negative saving, non-good and profitable exploring those deposit and savings, and yet the need for greater involvement of privates in the Greek capital market generates from the need for them to have an alternative funding of their life. The fundamentals of the Greek economy, with or without asterisks, as mentioned earlier in the morning, allow us to be optimistic, at least in terms of having savings in the future. However, a strong strategy is required as part of a greater one to serve both rights. Mediators, institutional investors, supervisory authorities, and so on and so forth. Such a policy would mobilize part of the capitals from banks to the capital market and from consumption products to the means, focusing on digital and green investments, would ensure a steady regulatory and taxation environment, and this would enhance long-term investments while ensuring investment on spin-offs and small and medium enterprises. So, the understanding of the environment, the understanding and regulation of investments via social media is required for them to be attracted. Easy and cheap access, sufficient communication and information, enhancement of transparency would information in a simplified way, ensuring and guaranteeing safety for investors, supervisory and easy conflict resolution, and an investment culture. All the above should start from school age, so that a strong trust be established. The capital market may generate well, and an investor shall be having all the means and information to navigate in the environment, taking into account that the risk it is prepared to assume. Mediators and supervisors should operate in favor of investor, managing the risks in transparency in terms of costs and everything. The settlement clearances systems, all systems should be in place to protect the rights of investors. Trust vis-à-vis supervisors. This would mean that those following in the market would be prepared to protect the smooth operation of the market and the rights and interests of investments. We do not reinvent the wheel. This is the basis for the operation of the capital market, which is institutionalized at a domestic and European level. So this is not the fault. We need to understand the reasons to put forward solutions. The companies must understand that having access to funding from the capital market may allow them to develop. From 120 spin-offs under SEV umbrella, none has its plan to get listed. Why? Because there is content in equity, however, in terms of exit, there is not. Why? So, a first step would be the essential cooperation between the different entities. We need listings, we need to attract investors in the capital market. Create, in other words, an architecture which would enhance transparency, efficient yields, and trust for the entire ecosystem. Speaking about trust, to conclude, I would like to stress the productive cooperation we've been having as a capital market with the association, because trust is built via good relationships, via good cooperations and synergies. So our cooperations between the management and all our executives, our officers that are here as from of the morning today. So this cooperation is an excellent example, cooperation between supervisors and the entities. It has been producing good results until now. We have already pieces of legislation that we have elaborated together to amend the legislation, actually. And again, I would like to thank personally for this reason, Chris, Esopos, the president, Maro Vasilikou, the heart of the association, for this long-standing productive cooperation. And thank you as well for listening to me. Thank you. Thank you for your interesting lecture and your good words for the association, the market, and ourselves, of course. Indeed, we've been having an excellent cooperation, and our officers here, our dear colleagues, we might be having differences, but, well, we come up always with good solutions. I do not wish to tire you wrapping up the event. We'll have a cocktail outside, and we may discuss everything outside. Well, just to tell you that despite the inflation, the opportunities in all forms presented here today are excellent, taking into account the rating we're looking forward. And last but not least, as stressed by private equities, indeed, they can fund the Greek economy together with all its particularities. Mr. Esopos, would you like to take the floor? No. So thank you very much. Thank you indeed, all of you, for being here with us, for getting involved, for participating actively. And next year, we got the date, and we'll be expecting you on the 3rd of October, and we'll confirm that, well, eventually. Thank you.
Νιώθετε πως ήρθε η ώρα να ξεκινήσετε τη διαδρομή σας στις επενδύσεις. αλλά να ζητάτε μια κατεύθυνση που να ταιριάζει στις ανάγκες και τις δυνατότητές σας με βάση τον δικό σας οικονομικό προγραμματισμό. Γιατί θέλετε να αξιοποιήσετε και να επενδύσετε τα χρήματα που μπορεί να περισσεύουν από τα έξοδά σας για να τα τοποθετήσετε σταδιακά σε μια επένδυση σε διαφορετικές στιγμές και αν το αποφασίσετε στην πορεία, να μπορείτε να αυξήσετε το κεφάλαιο που επενδύετε. Ο δρόμος για αυτό που ψάχνετε είναι τα αμοιβαία κεφάλαια. Σας δίνουν τη δυνατότητα να ξεκινήσετε την επένδυση με ένα ποσό και παράλληλα να επενδύετε σταδιακά όποτε εσείς το επιθυμείτε, επιτυγχάνοντας χρονική διασπορά στο χαρτοφυλάκιό σας. Έτσι, εξομαλύνονται οι επιπτώσεις από τις διακυμάνσεις των αγορών και εσείς περιορίζετε το άγχος σας για το αν επενδύετε στη σωστή στιγμή. Με το πρόγραμμα περιοδικής επένδυσης σε αμοιβαία κεφάλαια Master Plan, έχετε ευελιξία στο ποσό και τη συχνότητα των καταβολών σας και μπορείτε να χτίσετε ένα επενδυτικό χαρτοφυλάκιο χωρίς να χρειάζεται να επενδύσετε ολόκληρο το κεφάλαιό σας εφάπαξ. Ξεκινήστε σήμερα τη διαδρομή σας και ενημερωθείτε για τη χρονική διασπορά με τακτικές καταβολές αμοιβαία κεφάλαια σε ένα κατάστημα Eurobank ή στο eurobank.gr.
What does it mean to be a leader in the new digital era? It means to lead the way towards digital transformation, changing everything. Changing the way 125,000 businesses and professionals work. Investing in your people as they are your power. Evolving and joining your forces with new, innovative partners. Leading the way of business into the digital future. That is what being a leader means. Epsilon Net Group, the new digital era of businesses.
Μεγαλώνουμε σημαίνει ερχόμαστε πιο κοντά στα σχέδιά μας. Στην NN μεγαλώσαμε και δημιουργήσαμε τη μεγαλύτερη ασφαλιστική εταιρεία στην Ελλάδα. Έτσι, συνεχίζουμε με διευρυμένο δίκτυο, ευέλικτα ασφαλιστικά προγράμματα και ακόμη μεγαλύτερη ευθύνη να στηρίζουμε τα σχέδιά σας και όσα έχουν σημασία για εσάς. Γιατί η ζωή είναι πάντα μπροστά.